mixed feelings and doubts overwhelmed me. On the one hand, working as a deliveryman for creepy creatures seemed scary and dangerous. On the other hand, the huge amount of money I received for this was an undoubted advantage. As a result, I decided to spend the day thinking and relaxing a little to make sense of what had happened. Taking a wad of money with me, I bought myself a couple of clothes, ate at a restaurant, and bought a new phone. The next night, I took the order from Sasha again. On the table were the same black watch and backpack, as well as a sheet of paper with instructions. This time, there was nothing about strange creatures in the instructions. In the column goods, it was indicated kerosene. Arriving at the address, I found an ordinary 9-story building. There were normal streets around, and everything seemed normal. I went into the entrance, took the elevator, and went to the specified floor. But when the elevator doors opened, I saw only the entrance illuminated by a faint yellowish light, and strange sounds came from it, as if someone was walking unnaturally, taking breaks between steps. Fear and bewilderment seized me, and I stood on the threshold, doubting what to do next. Delivering kerosene in such a place looked no less strange than delivering meat to those mysterious creatures. But the money tempted me to continue. Opening the door, I saw a woman with a pleasant appearance, but her eyes were unusually bright yellow. "Delivery," I said, and pointed to the backpack that I took off my shoulder. The woman carefully looked at the backpack, then at me, and in sudden movements, took out a wad of money from her pocket. She held out her hand with the money in front of her and smiled, pausing for a moment. Then she quickly grabbed a canister of kerosene from my backpack and retired to the apartment, closing the door behind her. I called the elevator and went down. After that, I returned to Sasha, gave him his share, and said that I was ready to work tomorrow. Despite the strange circumstances of the work, I received good money, which suited me. I spent the day with pleasure, spending some of the money on pleasant purchases. The next night, I came back to work. Sasha said I was going to work too early. In the office, he showed me a 6-digit code on the back of the watch, which I had to memorize. Sasha warned me not to take the watch off my hand and handed me a silver chain that I had to wear for safety. Then I went to make another delivery. I was told that I had to go through one door of the entrance, but I assumed that she would no longer be there during the day. I looked at the product entry in the instructions and smiled. It's just paper. Entering the entrance, I walked to the elevator, but noticed a strange door that seemed completely new and did not correspond to the surrounding environment. Deciding to check, I went inside and found myself in a hospital corridor with bright lighting. There were doors along the corridor with a length of about 50-60 meters, and I went to one of them. There were doorways on the sides of the corridor, one of which I looked into as I passed by. There, I saw some unpleasant creatures devouring a human corpse. When they heard my footsteps, they turned and noticed me, but stopped, sniffing and wincing, and did not approach me. I continued walking down the corridor without taking my eyes off them. They followed me, but at some distance. When I got to the door at the end of the corridor, I went inside and closed the door behind me. It turned out to be a small room where a man in a white coat and glasses, about 30 years old, was sitting. There were bookcases on the wall, and there was another door in the room. The man was writing something on a piece of paper, and there was a pile of sheets on the table, which was already running out. Approaching him, I said, "Delivery." He continued to write, waved his hand so that I put the money on the table, pointing to the ending pile of sheets. Then, with the same hand, he took out a wad of money and put it on the table without stopping writing. Leaving the room, I realized that this strange guy, who paid a lot of money for paper, was just engaged in meaningless scribbles on sheets. It became clear to me that he was not going to share information about the creatures or about the place where he was. It was probably just routine for him, and he didn't want any conversations. Getting into the car, I thought about the watch I was wearing on my hand, and how certain ciphers and codes set by Sasha allow me to be transported to other worlds. It became clear to me that the clock is most likely the key to getting to these strange places. By setting the code correctly, you can get into different worlds and discover something unimaginable. Perhaps that is why Sasha demanded that I do not remove the watch from my hand in order to avoid undesirable consequences. A couple of days after the paper was delivered, I got an unpleasant call from an unenviable acquaintance to whom I owed a lot of money. By the way, he was one of the main reasons why I was looking for a job at all. In this conversation, he said that if I did not repay the debt in a week, he would take extreme measures. Then I already had enough money to repay the debt, and I decided to go for a trick. Having said that I received an inheritance, I promised him to return the money even the next day. The caller was surprised, but agreed and said he would wait. I had a not very honest but brilliant idea. Knowing the code from the door in the entrance, behind which the creepy creatures lived, I invited a friend to meet at this house early in the morning. Arriving at the place, I saw him and two other strong men, whom he took for protection. He asked me with hostility, "Where is the money, brother?" But I answered falsely, "I told you I moved. Let's go to my house now, and I'll give it to you." With caution, I led him to the entrance. I went first, and they followed me. "What is this strange story?" asked my friend, who came with me into the dark entrance. "Do you live here?" "Next," I replied, and pointed to a doorway in the wall. We went there, and my friends were the first to go inside. But before they could say anything, they were attacked by strange creatures, and everything happened very quickly. I moved away from them to a safe distance, leaving these creatures to have dinner on my unfortunate acquaintances. I had a silver necklace around my neck, which I had thoughtfully bought a little earlier. Thanks to this necklace, no one touched me, and I was able to safely leave there. Later that night, I went to Sasha's to take a new order. If anything, I'll say that I just forgot to take off the watch that I didn't use. However, when I entered the house, I found a complete mess inside and a guard lying dead with a bullet in his head. Going up to the second floor, I found Sasha's corpse. His body was mutilated, and I realized that he was tortured to find something valuable, probably what was on my hand, namely a watch. When I last looked at the scattered things, I found several files with ciphers for the clock, which indicate how the passage to another world opens. This information was enough, and I quickly left this place so that no one would find me. Now, guided by all the available information, I'm going to travel the worlds on my own and deliver things there that are very rare. So I was selling unwanted items for a lot of money. By the way, in most of the worlds to which I opened passages on my own, some junk is also used as money. Therefore, I have to work with only a small part of them. The money there is the same as mine after all. Such worlds are not so easy to find. But I already have the necessary list of proven worlds, so I'm lucky, and I can safely sell things in worlds I already know, and at the same time look for new places to trade. With each trip, I've seen a lot of strange places, and who knows how many I still have to see. After all, there are still many unexplored worlds ahead, full of mysteries and secrets that I'm looking forward to revealing.